If you're retired or close to retirement, there's a good chance you're underutilizing one of the most powerful tools available to you, the tax-free savings account. There's a variety of reasons why people underutilize this account, and today we'll explore the TFSA in detail to help you to get the most out of it. What's the biggest misunderstanding about the TFSA? Well, the first problem is right in the name. When people hear tax-free savings account, they naturally think savings. They think cash. They think high interest savings accounts. So that's what they use it for, but that's a mistake. The TFSA isn't really a savings account at all. It's far more accurate to think of it as a tax-free investment account. Inside a TFSA, you can own stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs, and other investments. And that distinction matters. It can be the difference between a failing retirement plan and a successful one. Because here's the key benefit. A tax-free savings account allows you to invest money and pay no tax on any of the growth ever. No tax on interest, no tax on dividends, no tax on capital gains, and no tax when you withdraw the money from your TFSA. Everything grows tax-free and everything comes out tax-free. That's incredibly powerful. But using a TFSA as a savings account can be costly. Many retirees keep their TFSA in a high-interest savings account. Maybe they're earning 2%. Meanwhile, a properly structured investment portfolio might reasonably earn 7 to 10% per year over time, depending on risk and, of course, asset allocation. Now, ask yourself this. If you're going to shelter money from tax, why would you shelter low-growth investments at 2% instead of higher growth investment? A 2% return sheltered from tax is nice. A 7 to 8% return sheltered from tax is just transformative over time. And there's another hidden risk here that doesn't get talked about enough. It's inflation. Inflation's, let's say, running at 3%, and if your TFSA is only earning 2%, you're actually losing purchasing power each year, even though the account balance looks very stable and consistent. Now, I know, cash feels safe, but over time, it quietly erodes your flexibility and your lifestyle, and then your legacy. Don't let fear control you. For many retirees, the fear is that once the paycheck stops, volatility simply feels scarier. But people equate safe with cash, but volatility is not the same thing as risk. The real risk in retirement is not short-term market movements. The real risk is running out of money or flexibility later in life, or paying more taxes than are necessary. Now, banks don't help here either. Savings accounts are simple, sticky, and profitable for them. Now, before I forget to mention it, if the benefits of a TFSA sound familiar, it's because it sounds a lot like an RRSP. But they're very different tools, and there are important differences. With an RRSP, you get tax deductions when you contribute, and it grows tax-free. But every dollar you take out in retirement is fully taxable. A TFSA, on the other hand, is funded with after-tax dollars. There's no tax deduction on the contributions, but there's also no tax on the withdrawal. In retirement, that difference becomes critical. TFSA withdrawals do not increase your taxable income. They do not push you into a higher tax bracket. They do not trigger OAS clawback. That flexibility does not exist when withdrawing from a registered plan like a RRSP or a RRIF, a LIRA or a LIF, etc. Let's talk about the TFSA as one of my favorite planning tools. It's a standalone account, but it should not be looked in isolation to the rest of your plan. It should be coordinated with your RRSPs, your RRIFs, your LIRAs, your LIFs, your pension income, CPP, OAS, your non-registered investments, your estate plan, your tax plan. This is where strategy matters. As far as tax planning, we want to use your TFSA to manage tax brackets in retirement. Income often stacks up faster than people expect. Now imagine you're right at the top of a tax bracket. If you need an extra $10,000 for travel or for a major purchase, pulling that from your RRIF could push you into a higher marginal tax bracket or into OAS clawback territory. Instead, in the right circumstances, drawing the money from your TFSA can give you income without need of increasing your tax bill. That kind of flexibility is invaluable. Oh, as a side note, if you'd like a deeper framework to think through retirement, taxes, and long-term planning, you can get a free copy of our guide called Don't Risk Your Retirement, 19 Smart Moves to Secure Your Future. Just click the link in the description below and we'll send it directly to your inbox. Back to our story. Let's talk about the dreaded OAS clawback, one of the most frustrating taxes retirees face. You've paid into the system your whole life, and then quietly, income thresholds can cause you to give some of it back. They call it a repayment of social benefits, but let's call it what it is. It's a clawback. Tfsa withdrawals do not count as income for OAS purposes. So used properly, the Tfsa can help reduce or avoid clawback, but it's only if it's part of an integrated plan. We talk about using the Tfsa for tax planning around tax brackets, but another more common mistake is using the Tfsa first for large one-time expenses. Let's say you need $12,000 to replace a furnace. If you have non-registered assets, it often makes more sense to draw from those assets, even if it can trigger some taxes. Why? Because non-registered assets continue to generate taxable income every year. A Tfsa does not. Once Tfsa money is removed, you've interrupted permanent tax sheltering. Why would you want to do that? You want your Tfsa working as long as possible. Let's move on to estate planning, where the Tfsa really shines. For many of our clients, the Tfsa is the last pool of money they'll ever touch. It's a perfect estate planning tool. Tfsas pass to beneficiaries tax-free. If you name your spouse as a successor holder, the Tfsa simply rolls over seamlessly to them without using any of their contribution room. Keep in mind that after the first spouse passes, beneficiary designations really should be reviewed to ensure that the Tfsa bypasses the estate, and probate where possible. Poor Tfsa planning can create significant unnecessary estate taxes. And while you may say, I'll be gone anyway, so I really won't care, the real question is, would you rather leave that money to your family or loved ones or favorite charity, or do you prefer to leave that to the government in the way of taxes? Tax problems become even more pronounced after the first passing. Income splitting often disappears, tax brackets compress, and the surviving spouse ends up paying significantly more tax every year. At that point, the Tfsa often becomes one of the most valuable tools available. Planning for this before it happens is critical. Another point people often miss is regarding personal care home costs. In many provinces, personal care homes or long-term care costs are income tested. That means the amount you pay is not just based on the level of care you need, it's also based on your reported income. And this is where planning mistakes can become very costly. Withdrawals from registered retirement savings plans, or RRIFs, they're fully taxable. They increase your income on paper. So if you're drawing heavily from your RRIF later in life, not only are you paying more taxes, you might also be increasing your monthly cost of your personal care home. In other words, you could end up paying more tax and higher care costs at exactly the stage in life when flexibility matters most. Instead, if you planned right, withdrawals from the Tfsa do not count as income. They don't increase your taxable income, they don't push you into a higher tax bracket, and they don't increase income-tested care costs. Later in life, having Tfsa assets available can materially reduce financial strain of long-term care without sacrificing quality or choice. It's just one more reason why the Tfsa becomes one of the most valuable accounts late in retirement. And it's also why drawing down registered assets too aggressively or too late without coordination can create unintended and negative consequences. A word of caution on CRA contribution room. As of this year, the total cumulative Tfsa contribution room is $109,000. Assuming you were 18 or older when the Tfsa program was first introduced, and assuming you've never contributed before. That total includes, of course, a new $7,000 of contribution room added this year, along with all the prior years and the annual limits going back to the start of the program. Now that number sounds pretty straightforward, but in practice, very few people actually have that full amount of room available. It depends entirely on your personal contribution and withdrawal history. And this is where mistakes often happen. CRA's reported numbers are frequently inaccurate, surprise, surprise, and overcontributions are penalized at 1% per month, which adds up quickly. This is why TFSA contribution room needs to be tracked carefully and coordinated with as part of an overall plan, not managed casually. So what's the core takeaway of our talk today? The TFSA is not a savings account. It's a planning tool. Used properly, it provides flexibility, tax efficiency, and peace of mind. Used poorly, it can quietly cost retirees hundreds of thousands of dollars in missed opportunities over time. If you'd like a more personalized conversation, you can book a free discovery call using the link in the description below. There's no cost and no commitment, just a first conversation to understand your situation, your retirement goals, and see if our approach could help you to strengthen your path forward. And if you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it and subscribe to our YouTube channel to keep receiving, of course, the educational content on retirement and financial planning. We're here to help you live for today while planning for a better tomorrow.